What's poppin', dogs? Mr. Allen here with an application of non-right triangle trig with none other than Snoop Dogg. He is taking a vacation on his private yacht in the Bahamas. Now, he sets sail at a bearing of 70 degrees for 200 nautical miles to chill on a private island with Dr. Dre. Sounds awesome. After chilling, the two of them hop back on that yacht. They set sail at a bearing of 170 degrees for 180 nautical miles. They pick up Martha Stewart, they head back to Snoop's private island to make some tacos. I bet those tacos are bussin' because Martha Stewart cook, man. She got her own show, all that stuff, right? And I don't know if you know this, but Snoop and Martha, they are good friends, okay? They got some business ventures, all that stuff. Anywho, how far are they from Snoop's private island? And at what bearing should they sail to make sure they get back to that island? Okay. So these can be kind of tricky to set up. Sometimes they'll set up the diagram for you ahead of time, which does help, but we're going to do it all from scratch, all right? So I'm going to take my ruler here so everything's nice and straight. And I have a general idea about how this one's going to work out. So I'm going to start, not 89, 90. I'm going to start with a little guy right here. Actually, I'm going to use white for this. Start with a little compass right here and right here. So we got due north and east-west, okay? So for this first one, we are going at a bearing of 70 degrees. So we're looking like something, let's see here, actually a little, what would be the complement of 70? I can actually use my ruler for realsies, at least on this first one. All right, so we got 20 degrees then, right? Because that'd be the complement of 70. Or sorry, the complement, yeah, of 70. So I'm going to go that way, boom. All right, cool. And I'm going to label this thing, so we're going to zoom in. This right here is going to be 70 degrees, okay? Then we'll zoom way out. Whoa. Boom, somewhere around there, okay. Cool. Now, I'm gonna get another compass up here, so 90. And at 0. There we go. Kind of looks crooked, doesn't it? It's okay. All right, so let's label these things. This is Snoop. I'll just put we'll put Snoop here. Snoop. Then this is Dre's place, right? This is where Dre was at. Cool. And then the next part is that, so we got 200 nautical miles. So 200 nautical miles. I'll just put M for miles. All right. And then they sail afterwards. They sail at a bearing of 170 degrees for 180 nautical miles. So 170 degrees would be just off of 180, right? So it would be something like this right here. I can keep all my degrees matching. The final won't necessarily work, but at least these first couple, we can set them up pretty dang accurate. All right, and we're going for 180 nautical miles. Now, I'm assuming this is going to go below where Snoop's Island is because we're going at a steeper grade and almost the same distance as the 200 nautical miles, right? So I'm going to go a bit below this one here. I'll even jump down a little further. I like that. Then we're going to actually need that ruler back. We're going to go at 90 and also then a horizontal for our east-west line. Okay, so I highly suggest that you be as neat as humanly possible with these problems. Some nice straight lines. Use your ID or whatever kind of straight edge you have handy. Perhaps your calculator could be a straight edge, yes, okay? So I would do those kinds of things, all right? So this is where they're picking up Martha, right? This is Martha here. Let me make sure everything's looking good on the screencast software that I'm using. We're almost a little off there. I might need to zoom out a little bit more here. There we go. All right. So now we have our general setup, and we're trying to find, here's what we're trying to find here. We're trying to find this distance here, right? This is the distance I want. I'll put it in like blue, so it's a slightly different color here. This is what I want. We'll call this X, right? And I also want the bearing, so we'll deal with that in a little bit. One last thing that we didn't label here was our bearing. Right here is 170 degrees, and then I believe also our distance here, 180 nautical miles. Okay, my M's are lacking. That's better. That's much better. Okay. So how can I math this situation up? Well, we have this 70-degree angle over by Snoop right here. Okay, so this is 70 right here. Now, what's also going to be 70 is its alternate interior angle, which can be kind of hard to see when you're all in the mix of all the stuff here? Well, this angle right here is also going to be 70 degrees. It is alternate interior, okay? Well, our north-south line here, like this guy right here, is parallel to this guy right over here. So then it's alternate interior angles along this 200 nautical mile line right there gives us these alternate interior angles, which are then congruent, okay? So that's part one. Now, the next thing here is that I can actually take, we got 170 degrees here by Dr. Dre, right? What's that leave for this, this little smidgen right here, which I'll do in pinkish color? What's that going to be right there? That's going to be 10 degrees, right? So what's this total right here? What's this total angle for that one? That's going to be 80 degrees. Now I am using all just like single arcs and not like double arcs, triple, so on and so forth, because they're not like, congruent. It would get very, very messy. Okay, so let's not think about congruent angles as I'm marking these with arcs here. We're just trying to notate what the angle is, the degree is, okay? So now I have actually a very wonderful math situation happening here. I have a side, an angle, and a side. I can use law of cosines to set this thing up. How wonderful is that? So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to move this up here. And hopefully I'm not too in the way with my calculator. Let's make sure here. Sorry, I don't use this one very often. So there we go. We're good. We're good. Okay, cool. So let's set up our law of cosines right now, right? So I can figure out what x is. I'm going to just write this all out, and I'll use the blue color for x. We're going to have x squared equals, we got our 200 squared plus our 180 squared minus 2 times the 200 times the 180 times the cosine of that angle, which is 80 degrees. We can plug this all in the calculator, right? And just square root both sides. Boom. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. All right, let's bust out the calculator. And we're going to keep a lot of these numbers in here, okay? So we got 200 squared plus 180 squared minus 2 times 200 times 180 times the cosine of 80 degrees. Hit enter, and you notice I didn't put in the square root. That's okay. I can raise this all to the 0.5 right now. If you put it on the square root right off the bat, even better, right? I could have done that. That would have been great. So we got 244.739, and I'm going to write that all down on this board. 244.739. 244.739 and change. So that's how far they are from there, right? That's how far they are from Snoop's private island. So I've already answered one of the questions, okay? So let's write that down up here. They are 244 point, we could say 7 miles, nautical miles away. Okay, so question one answered, but now I need to find my bearing. So how do I find my bearing in this? Well, the bearing is going to come from some angles, right? And the angle that I'm looking for here, the angle that I'm looking for is going to be, and I'll do this in, how about light green, is going to be this one. This is my bearing from Martha's Island, right? So I need all that. All that. That would be my bearing. So how do I figure that out? Well, let's see what other kind of angles we have going on here that might be able to help us out. I've got the 10 degrees. This little guy up here, this little 10 degrees right here, is also going to be this little guy right here, right? That could possibly be helpful. I don't know. What else would we need here? I guess if I had this angle, that would be helpful along with that 10 degrees, right? Because then the leftover part is my bearing, right? So the 10 degrees, this 10 degrees right here, plus that angle that's in the triangle, that's the leftover part from my bearing from this guy right here, okay? And I'm trying to like go over it again. But let's figure out what that angle is, okay? So how do I figure out an angle in this current situation that we have? Well, I've got 3 sides here, which is great. I have an angle that's right here, okay, across from this known side now. I can use law of sines, okay? So let's do that. So I'm going to set up law of sines with this thing. We'll have sine of 80 over the new side that I found, the 244.739. I'll use that value that's in my calculator, yo-ro. And then let's see here. I've got, we'll call it angle M for Martha. So sine of Martha over, And then what's our distance there? That's 200 across from that. Cool. I like that. That's good. That's wonderful. Okay. So I got my law of science. Let's do a little algebra here, and then we'll plug it into our calculator. So we've got 200 sine of 80 then would equal 244.739 and change sine of m. Divide by that 244.739. Beautiful. And then I would take the sine inverse of that, right? So let's write it all out. We got sine of m equals this whole mess here, 200 sine of 80 over 244.739 and change. I need to take the sine inverse of both sides, sine inverse. That'll cancel that, leaving me with angle M, but whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side as well. And now we can type this whole beast into our calculator here. Oh my goodness. So we've got, we'll do sine inverse, so second sine. And then here's what I'm gonna do. You could do alpha and then your x for your fraction. However, it's a little tough to then bring in the 244 value right above. So here's what happens if I do that, okay? So if I hit alpha x, I get this fraction, I do 200, and then I have sine of 80, right? And then if I arrow down here and I want to get that 244, when I arrow back up, it puts it in the numerator, unfortunately, okay? Now you could still be able to do it. It's 200 sine of 80, close it, and then down here, you can put what your last answer was. So second, and then the negative sign we'll put in the last answer. That'll do the trick, okay? So that's one way of typing this in. I get a little uncomfortable just seeing like the ANS on there. I'm like, did it really do the right thing? So what I prefer to do in this situation is I type in just old-fashioned division. So 200 times sine of 80, close my parentheses, close it again, divided by, and then I can arrow up and grab this guy, close it, and I should get the same answer. Almost exact. Oh my goodness, one tiny little decimal off. All right, so there we go. Either way, I get 53.589. So let's label that over here. This is 53.589 degrees. So what's my bearing then? Well, if I add these two together and subtract it from 360, that'll give me my bearing, right? That'll give me this guy right here. So let's do that. So back on the calculator, we got plus 10, that's lazy, 360 minus this, boom, my bearing is 296.41 degrees. Nice. 296.41 degrees for my bearing. S. Boom, we did it. These problems are tough, man. These are really tough. If they at least give you the setup, that's kind of nice. But as you can see, I mean, that takes a lot. Oh my goodness, I got to zoom way the heck out. That takes a lot of work to get that all done, okay? So hopefully that helps you guys. All right, look for your alternate interior angles. Be careful with your parallel lines, right? Make sure you're using the same parallel lines and transversal that they go with, and don't mistakenly use alternate interior angles and stuff like that. Easy thing to mix up. I see people do that all the time where they start dealing with this guy here, and they look at this angle, and they start putting the 70 in the wrong spot. Make sure you're along the same side of that triangle, that distance that you're traveling, and that you're using the same north-south line, north-south line, and not the other ones, all right? They take practice to set up. They are tough, so if you're having a tough time with it, I don't blame you. It takes a bit of work, all right? Hopefully that helps you guys, and that you enjoy the video, and that you're now knowing where Snoop Dogg is going with Dr. Dre and Martha Stewart. That's about it. Have a wonderful day, guys.